I got this for down here because it's a portable coffee grinder. I have a coffee grinder. It's a blade grinder, which just sort of chops them all up and makes a mess. Great for espressos. Oh, Sid's vacuuming. Hold on a second. Okay, she stopped vacuuming. So this little gizmo is a burr grinder. You put the beans into here, and then on the bottom here is where you adjust how it's set for coarse or fine. And then the coffee comes out into here. So basically it's this type of operation. Sort of like a pepper grinder of sorts. So you can control what you need. Okay, what you have to remember is I'm testing all of these different coffees for roasting them and everything else. So, you know, in order to do real tests to find out what they taste like, how it works, you have to do it methodically. So I've got the coffee beans here. I've got my filter in set, which that filter, if you do this, you see how I've got the edges bent over? Works better. Next, I've got to pour hot water around that to get rid of the paper flavor. And then we'll put the coffee in that, after I grind it, of course, in that. And then we let it go through its process. But this scale also has a timer. So once I put the coffee in the water, I'll show you that. That's like 45 seconds to let it bloom. And you'll see it bubble. If your coffee doesn't bubble, it's not fresh coffee. Okay, coffee's all ground. It's good exercise, by the way. Oh, with these two, you got to remember to always go clockwise, never counterclockwise. Otherwise, you'll tear apart the burrs, and then it's not going to work so good. So this next part, what I want to do is get all the paper soaked. And this water, the water in this kettle came to a boil. So you really want to let it settle down. But what this does, it gets anything out of the paper, and then the boiling water goes into there, and it warms up the ceramic, and it also warms up the cup itself. You're going to throw away that water. I know it's kind of a waste, but I don't know where you put what you can do with that kind of water. Next part, I'm going to put the coffee in there and just level it up, and then we'll hit the tare button. So now it's 0 because I want to put an exact amount of water in this too. So to do this, and let's see if I can get this a little bit better. Don't worry about that, that was just a cup. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to put just a little bit, very slowly, in the middle, and I'm watching how much, and I want to get it to about around 50 grams of water. Now, if you watch that, you see how it's blooming, bubbling, the gases coming out and everything else? Try that with grocery store coffee. You won't get that. So next what I'm going to do is, after that's had enough time to do that, I'm going to take and continue pouring till I get to around 350 grams of water. So that's what this scale does. So everything is fairly exacting in what I'm doing because I'm trying to get a consistent way of doing different coffees. This happens to be a Nicaraguan coffee. And I did it as a darker roast, a little bit past what's called second crack. So it should, I'm hoping it's going to bring out some good flavors. We'll see. One of the other things is the water. You've got to let it sit for 30-40 seconds because optimally it should be somewhere 200, 205. Next one I get will have a thermometer, it will be even more exact, but for now. Now, as this goes down, see, I'm going to put more in here, and I'm watching the scale to make sure I don't really go much past, and I'm doing it in that circular motion to sort of agitate the coffee, and there it is. There's 350. So now it's just a matter of letting it finish its thing. When she comes through, then we'll let it sit so it's drinkable, and that's fresh coffee. So remember, if your coffee, when you do it, if you do it this way, or in any kind of pour over, doesn't bubble, it's not fresh. Fresh coffee only lasts probably a couple weeks. There's ways to extend it, and like I said, I've been learning a ton of stuff. But to make fresh coffee, you roast it, let it sit for a little bit, and then depending on the coffee, it like ages too. You can't test it right away. You test it a day later. This one's only been, I did this morning, so the results today could be totally different than on, say, Tuesday. But that's how this whole coffee thing works. So if you love coffee, you might want to try doing this if you don't already. Yeah, so this afternoon, the water heater, well, actually, I came in and I'm like, where's all this water on the floor coming from? And the last time there was water all over there, it was because the water heater had crapped out. So I immediately went to this water heater, and sure enough, it crapped out. The water was leaking out of the safety valve thing back there. So I took it apart, cleaned it all up, retaped it up, checked everything, and it's still pouring out. So I don't know what went wrong, but I think we're going to replace this with a on-demand.
Show the color of the water here.
Yeah. It's still sort of draining, but it's like, everything's just rusted in there. Again, test facility in Eleuthera. Well, it's been an interesting coming back. Hot water heater crapped out. You saw that. I got to replace that. And then we go to work and we go where we had stored stuff, and a few items were missing, shall we say. Still haven't quite figured that one out, but and I don't even have any ideas on who. Well, in the continuing fun of Monday, I had to go to the police station to do a police report for the stuff that was taken. Whether we'll ever see it again or not, I have no idea. And I found a water heater on the island. Price isn't too bad, so I gotta head down to Tarpon Bay next and pick that up, hopefully, and then get that installed. Take out the old one, put that one in. Shouldn't be all that bad. I got to do a little adaptation on it because the one we have is a 20-gallon and this is a 30, so the heights are going to be a little different, but it's workable. You know, the guys were pretty upset about the stuff that got taken, and rightly so. You know, Eleuthera is a relatively safe place. I mean, nothing really ever super bad happens, but this kind of stuff does happen, and that makes it discomforting because they don't like to see it. I mean, nobody does, and it's really not. It's not a real big issue because it doesn't happen all the time. Hopefully it doesn't, you know, start a trend like that. But it's something that everybody but the crooks feel strongly should not happen. So hopefully they catch these people, whatever, and they go away for a while. 130-gallon water heater. Relatively good prices for it. You just have to get it home, take out the other one, and then readapt the plumbing lines because they're not the right size. Oh, that's right, shoes. I gotta stop and get glue. Forgot about that. I just heard from a friend of mine who owns a lumberyard here, and he said a couple weeks ago he got hit for like 10 grand worth of stuff. Another lumberyard I know got hit for a whole ton of ice and water shield. So I don't know really what's going on with this, but Christmas, need some money, that kind of thing. You know, it's just one of those things that's really not good for anybody. Well, just about home. I've got to take out the other water heater, put in the new water heater. I did end up getting some glue, so that worked. Hopefully will work. And hopefully we'll be back in the hot water business tonight. Hopefully. And hopefully they catch whoever has been doing all this breaking into things. This is the old water tank that died, crapped out, leaked, blew up, whatever. And here's the new one. And I've got to, as you can see, I've got to readapt this because the pieces are too tall. They're in the right places and everything, but the pieces are too tall. And luckily, I have plenty of plumbing parts, so I should be able to do that. You have to remember, when you do hot water, or if you turn it off and you're gone a while, you've got to open the hot water line to get the air out of it. And a lot of people don't know, if you go away for a long time and you've got a hot water heater, you've got to open up the lines, you know, say you've turned it off and you're going away for a while. You've got to turn on the lines to run the water through it, because electric hot water heaters, to the best of my knowledge, actually can build up a hydrogen gas in them. So if you just came back and it had built up that hydrogen, well, remember the Hindenburg? Wasn't that hydrogen? Yeah. It can end up blowing up. So you run the water for a little while, then you turn the power on, just to make sure. And in this case, I'm running the water to make sure that all the air is out of the tank, and I gotta go turn on the kitchen one next. Okay, so that means that the water is coming through. That's the hot water. The water's coming through the tank, so the tank's full. So next I can go turn on the current to it. So hot water's working. Was a fun day or so. I'm hoping tomorrow will be better. Has to be, right?